Welcome, movement specialists, to another edition of Triplane Function, where we take a muscle that's relevant to you and show you how you can see it, feel it, move it, and teach it. Today's muscle, we're going to be talking about the good old pec major. What's the pec major known for? Maybe somebody who does a lot of workout up in front, but mainly maybe somebody who does a lot of push-ups, a lot of bench press, bodybuilders, has a really, really big chest. But today we want to show you that the pec major does a lot more than just help you do push-ups and a lot of bench press. As always, our goal of these videos is to give you a visual aid so you can actually see what the muscle's doing for you in all three planes of motion, but more importantly, if you're following along at home and using that TheraBand, that you can really feel what's happening with the muscle, give you a good appreciation for what's going on for your muscle. So I'm going to ask you to take your TheraBand out. Andrew's demonstrating for me, thank you. I want you to tie a loop at the end of it. And now if you got your loop tied, if you need to pause the video, go ahead. But Andrew's sliding that up right below his armpit crease. And this is mimicking the insertion of the pec major. It actually inserts to the crest of the greater tubercle on this humerus bone here. Now, you watch Andrew here. He's going to wrap it from behind the loose end here. Turn and face the camera, and now he's going to place the origin of the pec major on his sternum. And when I talk about this origin, you guys are going to see at home that even though he's fanning this TheraBand out very thick for me, it doesn't really give us a good appreciation for how big this muscle actually is. But it originates on the sternum and attaches to ribs 1 through 7, even has an attachment at the clavicle or your collarbone. Some of us think it's your collarbone, and even loosely attaches to this external oblique. And we're going to get to the external oblique towards the end of the video. But right now I want to show you how the muscle is lengthened and shortened. So if you're following along at home, I encourage you to put that hand here where Andrew's got it and really feel it and see it. All right, we're going to show you how this muscle is shortened. So if I ask Andrew to horizontally abduct, you can see at home. I can kind of play the guitar, I can pluck this thing. There's a lot of loosey-goosey here. Okay, thanks Andrew. Now, that was the transverse plane. Shortened here, how can we lengthen it? Let's go into horizontal abduction. See how it's lengthened. I can't really pull, I can't really play the guitar here. Thank you. Let's talk about more lengthening. How about the sagittal plane? Andrew does shoulder flexion. Thank you. See how this is lengthened here? I can't really pull. Nice and taut for me. Let's talk about the frontal plane. How about just regular abduction? Excellent. Same thing. Feel that at home. Really feel it. Now, notice he's still holding here at the sternal attachment. I talked earlier about the clavicle, or some of us know as the collarbone. If you really want to feel that, what we'll have you do is just take the TheraBand and move it up and move it across. And you can go through those things we just mentioned, the shoulder flexion, bringing the arm back in the transverse plane, going through abduction. Those are going to lengthen this too. But one other portion where this pec major can be lengthened at the clavicle or the collarbone is in the sagittal plane. If Andrew goes into some shoulder extension, and you'll even see that TheraBand. I hope maybe you can't see it on the camera, but it's just definitely lengthened there for me. Well, why are these attachments important? Well, one other thing that I just remembered, sorry, I just forgot. Another way we can lengthen this muscle is, let's not forget about this humerus, just as I did. External rotation, palm up. With this insertion into the greater tubercle right here, it's really important that you can even lengthen this pec major more with external rotation, palm up. Almost forgot about that, Andrew. You should have reminded me. Right. So why is this important? Let's think about here, Andrew was just going backwards. Let's think about those overhead athletes. Somebody who's short and doesn't have that length to get all the way up overhead. I'll have Andrew kind of demonstrate here. Somebody, you're playing volleyball, you're going for that big spike, that tennis player, that pitcher, following through. You don't have that ability to get all the way back. That could limit some of your thoracic rotation. Let's move it down. And even not only that, Andrew's got over his collarbone, his clavicle. Somebody who's having AC joint pain, AC joint pain, We think about that in the clinic for us therapists out there, physicians out there. We know that if something's wrong up here, something's tight, this messes up with shoulder mechanics. Let's bring it back down to the sternal portion. What happens when this is very, very tight? This kind of can pull somebody in forward, and they can develop this kyphotic posture. And we all know if we've treated people with that kyphosis, it's almost a nightmare. A plethora of things can happen. Nerve pain, neck pain, headaches, shoulder impingement, you name it. I mean, the list goes on and on and on when they're kyphotic. Good reason why we really want to lengthen this muscle. So let's show you how we can get a good, effective stretch. Typically, when we're tight here, we know that we usually just, our go-to is we go to the doorway. I come up here, I'm going to ask Andrew to be my wall. Maybe you've seen somebody at the gym or just maybe around, just kind of leaning into the wall here, just trying to get a good stretch. Hey, that's great if I'm really tight. But what about I'm coming up here and I'm not getting the whole effective stretch? Remember, 3 planes of motion. We're going to show you how you can get a better stretch. So, Andrew, let's start with the transverse plane. So I'm going to have Andrew, it's going to be similar to the pec minor video, a little different tweak though, remember that external rotation. Andrew, bring his palm back here. I'm going to grab the cage. I know you guys don't have a cage at home, but if you're in the doorway, got it covered, something sturdy you can grab and reach like Andrew's doing, that's what I want you to do. Remember, Andrew's palm's up. Maybe you're so tight you can't tolerate the palm being up in that external rotation. If you need to shorten it, go palm down. But we know Andrew, he's got good mobility here. We're going to find out where he's tight, but leave it palm up. So, we're going to start in, let's say, sagittal plane. Sagittal plane. How can we get more length here? I'm going to hold this TheraBand for Andrew, and I'm going to ask him to use this other arm, and I'm going to have him reach up. How that chest kind of comes forward, he reaches back, stomach's kind of coming for you towards the camera. You can see this lengthening. Andrew, can you feel that? Great. That's sagittal plane. Let's go frontal plane lengthening. Andrew's going to, instead of, if you bring this arm up, we know what's going to happen here. It's going to shorten. See how, here we go. Loosey-goosey, play. Lengthen it. Bring that arm behind him. Tight across here. Not as much I can grab. That's the frontal plane. How about the transverse plane? We know it's shortened, right? Short there, we don't want that. We want that stretch. Watch out for that cage, Andrew.
I can't get it.
All right, that's real tight for him. Maybe that's a good spot. We'll have to come back to that later. No pain face, Andrew. That's just using your arm driver, just to give you more of an effective stretch. What about, we use the hips. What can we do? Hips and pelvis. Let's go with sagittal plane. I can have him come forward, and he gets that lengthening. You can see it. Hopefully you're feeling it at home. Sagittal plane. What about frontal plane? Kick those hips out there. Yeah, excellent. Yep. Same side. Kick those hips out towards the right. Right arm, right hip. You all right?
Yeah, that's tight.
I just want to keep making you do it.
Thanks.
All right. Transverse plane. Let's lengthen it here. Let's have Andrew give us a good lead. Turning those hips towards me. Turn that chest towards me. That's transverse plane. Excellent. Great. Keeping his palm up the whole time. One thing I mentioned earlier in the video was how this pec major has some attachments. If you want to hold it, Andrew, come think. How that this has actually some attachments into the external obliques. And if you guys want to go back, or maybe you've been following us for a long time, you've watched Andrew talk about the external obliques and how this serves as, they serve as like a homecoming sag. Now, we think about that, the external obliques have some attachments to the hip. So, if this hip and this shoulder, they're kind of connected. If we can mobilize these two at the same time, we'll definitely get more of an effective stretch. And even if he's tight in the external obliques, that might be pulling somebody down into a kyphotic posture. So, right arm, right hip, let's use that right leg to get more of an effective stretch. Hopefully you can see this at home. Andrew, bring that right leg forward. Sagittal plane, getting some lengthening there. Excellent. Play around with that at home. Let's go frontal plane. He's going to step out, similar to the hip. Kelly kicked the hip out from you, but now he's got his foot pre-positioned to the side. There you go. Excellent. Finally, transverse plane. You all right?
Yep, I'm
There we
getting
go.
wound up.
Don't let him see your pain face. There you go. Excellent. All right, what if you're trying this at home? And again, you're just saying, hey, Steve and Andrew, nice try, I'm not feeling it. Remember, we can combine these things. Our goal for you is we want you to be the expert of your own body, or help that friend out who's having some tightness. The good thing is you can combine these motions that we were showing you, and you can find out where your tight corners are. You're the expert of your body. All right, Andrew, let's combine some of these. Let's see, we got quite a bit of pain face when he brought that foot forward, so let's have him come forward here. Now, let's have him turn those hips towards me. What was the first thing we used? We did like the arm driver. What if we kind of reach back? Don't grimace. There we go. Homecoming king right here. Here you go. And you can bring it back down and relax. Remember, play around with some of those positions we just showed you. Remember, find what's tight. Find those corners, okay? Pec major does a heck of a lot more for us than just help us bench press. Remember, we can lengthen it in all 3 planes of motion. Be on the lookout for more videos.